I can't name them all here, but I'm just going to say Bobby Peru and Wild at Heart.
He's a member of the the experimental theater troupe, the Wooster Group in New York, and he's here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, the great Willem Dafoe. This is a real magical film. I don't think I've ever seen a film that felt so lived in my life. That everyone in this film had known each other for years, or these relationships, the sets of everything that you touched and moved just felt like it was yours, like that was your computer. Well, how does that come about?
I think it comes about because Sean Baker, the director, his approach is a very kind of classically neo-realist approach. I mean, he's mixing things that are already there, that actually exist, that actually have a life in them and a history, and mixing those with fictional elements. And as far as the cast, he's mixing actors with people that aren't normally actors. So the aesthetic is kind of somewhere between, it's not quite an amateur aesthetic, it's not quite a professional aesthetic, it's somewhere in between. So you get kind of a human dimension.
And you as an actor are dropped into this with people that are cast similar to who they are in some areas, and you are now a Bobby.
Right.
How does that work?
That works in this case. One of the beautiful things is so much of what I had to do is, you know, they were tangible things that I could do. I was a motel manager. We were working. We would shot this at a functioning motel. There was I was the ghost of the real motel. Sometimes we'd be shooting a scene and we'd have to leave the lobby because they were checking in people. And, you know, they were great models for me. I met some people that had that job. And, you know, nothing too complicated, but you got the sense of the dynamic that they had with the people. And the other thing that was worth mentioning is they all were, well, I'm thinking of one guy in particular, they had a real pride in what they did. And there was kind of, you know, simple practicality to what they did. So when I was doing the movie, it was a little bit like a regular job where, yes, I was staying at a different motel, you know, just marginally nicer. And I'd show up at work. I had a room there next to real residents, and I'd go in there. My clothes were in there. I'd put on my keys. I'd get my walkie-talkie and do a change of clothes, and I'd walk over to the office and see what was going on and what we were shooting. And it was always like kind of putting out fires, like going, everybody had a problem, had something to take care of.
Now, with the script of this, is it written out completely? Is there a lot more improv? Is there a lot to cut in the editing room?
The director is also the editor, so he's anticipating the editor as he's working on it. There's a strong script, and we shot that script, but we also would add things when opportunities would present themselves, and then sometimes there were little pockets of improvisation. Just to, you know, little things in the scene where I confront the guy, for example. It's a very clearly written scene, but the truth is, in the geography of the place that we're shooting, where the kids are playing, where he encounters them, and where I come up to this guy, is quite far away from the soda machine. They did right the path from where the playground to the soda machine. So you're there on the day and you got to vamp, you got to figure it out. But a nice thing happens because then the scene, which is quite a simple scene, gets a little more developed because in that walk, that becomes the place where I kind of shake him down and the audience can really feel that, I'm checking them out and kind of confirming my suspicions. And then by the time we get to the soda place, I pretty much figure out who I think he is. And it's pretty much confirmed by the logic of the scene. So things like that happen.
That's really a powerful scene because there's so much cutting through. It's one of the scenes where they really, Sean lets you go, so you bring him up there. And what is it like working with the guy who played Charlie Coachman? These people coming in, him or the guy who played your boss, that really looked like he was your boss.
Actually, that guy that played the boss is a veteran of Sean Baker's films. He's been in every Sean Baker film. And in some of the earliest films, he's the principal actor. And the truth is, I think he's a designer or an architect, and he works at a place in New York, a very well-known place, and this is like his little hobby. But he's a good actor, and I forget where he's from. I think he may be Armenian.
And so, Bria and so many first-time actors, really, they were known for something else. What was the challenge like? What did you have to get them comfortable as a working actor?
I had to get comfortable.
Yeah.
It was their turf. I mean, it was my job to fit in. That's somewhere, the performances I often like. There's all kinds of movies. Sometimes there's movies where a performer really, part of the pleasure is them showing off and kind of, wearing their stuff on their sleeve. But so many movies that the ones that are, in kind of natural style. I like when you see someone and you don't know whether they're an actor or not. They're showing no particular actor skill. They seem comfortable, they're being natural, but you see a human being up there, not an actor. And that's a great aspiration I have in a lot of what I try to do. So I get there, and one of the beauties of this is these people, Sean set them up in a way that they felt comfortable. So they had nothing to prove. They were happy to be there. They had nothing to compare it to. They weren't thinking about, what this is going to do for them. They were there for their own pleasure, for their own fantasy. The kids, they were encouraged to do things that they like to do. Play like children. So that's really Sean's strength and the strength of the production, that you made people feel comfortable, and we did make a world. It's a cliche, but it's true. Every time you go on a location somewhere, you make a kind of little family. Everybody's got their functions, there's good brothers and bad brothers and all that kind of thing, but you make a family. Well, this was a sweet family, and because there was no apparent careerism or stress about being industry people, it was quite free. It was like this little adventure for everybody.
What was it like working with Brooklyn and the rest of the kids who were just so... I've never seen children act more like children, the real way children act.
Yep. Brooklyn, clearly, she's got an uncommon intelligence. She has an instinct about how to perform. She has performed some. I think she made a movie before and maybe some plays and things. So she was very comfortable, and she's a big personality, and she was fun. She was fun to deal with. I love the kids. The other kids had less apparent skill, but they were sweet. And as I say, they played. And the other thing is, when you get with kids, if you don't have kids, I've got kids, but they're grown up. But when you get around kids, you realize how much kind of role playing they do, and how many voices, and how many in their pretending. They grab at these things, these attitudes, these stances, So kids are natural actors. If you don't tell them they're actors. You say, no, don't act. It just, have fun. Do what you're doing.
What drew this project at the beginning?
I'm really drawn by directors. And Sean has a way of working. He also made a beautiful script with his co-writer, Christopher Gosch. And then when he described how we were going to shoot it, I mean, I was going to go down to Florida and basically hang out at a motel and be a manager and work with these single mothers and these kids, and sounded good to me.
Would you have been a good hotel manager?
About as good as Bobby was.
Yeah, I feel like
I
Bobby's.
mean, I know how to fix a broken toilet.
I feel like Bobby's a real hero. Like, there's a lot of films today have natural heroes or something, but I felt like he really stood for something. You could see the pain when he actually had to say no to someone, and he was like living through their life. Talk about that.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, but I see it only when I see it with an audience. It's really an amazing. I can honestly say when I was making the movie, I didn't know Bobby was such a good guy. I really didn't. Because I'm playing scene by scene, and thank God I didn't, because I'd probably tip my hand, I'd probably start to reflect on what I thought, the effect was, and I'd start to get self-conscious about it. I really played the scenes, and there's kind of logic to what he does, He's a guy that wants to watch the ball game in peace. Oh, he is. He doesn't want, like a lot of us, But then there's another side of him where he deeply understands, and this is why he's a hero, and this is why there's a beauty to him. He understands that, the interdependence of things, and this is like a little microcosm. He knows that if those people are cool, he'll be cool. If he's cool, they'll be cool. It's everything's connected, and he understands that deeply in a very practical way. But then he has to negotiate all these things because people living in this precarious kind of lifestyle, they develop a good rift, and he doesn't want to be played. So he's got to be tough too. So I can only say that I played the scenes, and it was a beautiful setup. And like a lot of times, the character is revealed through actions, through his relationship to things. I think once you know what the character is or how they'll come off, then you start to craft it, and you start to show, and you start to sit back, and you rule out all these new impulses. And it's quite nice when you work on something and you feel engaged, like you feel like something's going on, but you don't quite know what it is. And you're guided by kind of instinct and intuition.
So is there any prep, much prep coming to this, or you're going in and going, I'm going to instinctually have to see whatever this environment is? And
A little bit, but the prep is interviewing people, also being very precise. External things help you, your clothes, how you look. I got a little spray tan. I tend to be a little pale. I thought about an accent. I have a brother-in-law that lives down in that area, and he grew up there. Part of my family retired down in that area. And I got him to record things. Totally useless. No, really, it was an idea. Because in Florida, it's a place where people go, particularly in that area. So they come from everywhere. So there's really in that area, there's not really a pure Floridian accent because of all the entertainment industry. It really draws a lot of people from not just the South, a lot of places. So you invent an accent.
what was one of the most interesting things that happened in that hotel while you were shooting? Is any stories or?
We got to know the people. And that was the beauty of it, because we're shooting, and after the initial thing of them being excited that, the circus is in town and all that gets old pretty quick. I don't know if any of you are actors or have been on movie sets or have been around movies, but I don't know. they get used to it, and then you hang out, because there's a lot of waiting on movies, even low-budget ones when you're struggling to make a day. And you sit around, and they start talking to you, and you learn their stories, and one of the beauties of that is you start to identify with them. They aren't these scary, people in trouble, in this cycle of poverty. They're your brothers and sisters. You recognize yourself. You just realize their circumstances are a little different. So that whole process is very nice. Not just, for yourself as a human being, but also it informs your view of the movie.
And your performance. So when you go to the other hotel and you get offended at the way they treat your hotel.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Not your guess at the best hotel.
All right, we're going to open up some questions here. We got one right there.